Hi and welcome. My name is Sara Peternell and I'm with Family Nutrition Services. I'm excited to record this video today. It's all about Hashimoto's and its relationship to menopause. It's a really exciting topic, isn't it? I get this question a lot from clients. I work with a lot of women who have Hashimoto's and they want to know what to expect as they start to approach their more mature years. And by mature, I mean it can start as soon as your late 30s. So let's not be fooled here. We used to think of menopause as being something that only affected our grandmothers, but there was something that we didn't know that the new modern woman, I think, is much more aware of today. And we're just learning that there's an actual name for it, and that is called peri-menopause. So, really, the journey to menopause is about 15 years long. I know that sounds really exciting. But the question I get for the women that I work with who have Hashimoto's, they want to know if there's a relationship between their thyroid dysfunction and any potential hormone imbalances as they get closer and closer to that ovarian dysfunction. And so here's what I want you guys to know in this video really today. There's a couple of key things. First of all, I have Hashimoto's. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I've been through a lot with Hashimoto's. I've been through a lot of the life cycles and life phases that have been affected and impacted greatly by having Hashimoto's. I've had some issues with staying pregnant. I've had 3 miscarriages. I've also experienced postpartum thyroiditis. And now, at my age of 44 and a half, I'm starting to understand that there are also implications for the next stage of life, which is entering into perimenopause and then eventually menopause. So the first thing I want you to know is that I can relate, okay? The second thing I want you to know is that, of course, there are hormonal complications and interactions in all stages of our lives. So if you do have Hashimoto's, and like me, you've already maybe gone through some of those stages, maybe in child rearing or trying to conceive or the postpartum period, you know that your thyroid is impacted by hormonal changes that you are likely to experience. But the main takeaway that I want you to have from this video today is that the interactions of Hashimoto's and perimenopause and menopause can be helped through nutrition. And I find this fascinating because I have so many women clients who come to me, even if they don't have Hashimoto's, just they're going through the change in their body and they've been to see their OBGYN or maybe they've been to see their primary care doctor and they have been told there's nothing they can do. They just have to wait. They just have to wait it out. Just wait till those ovaries are done and they go into a retirement phase and then you can enjoy life again. And I think that that is a major disservice to women everywhere because the thing is that our perimenopausal status and our menopausal status are greatly impacted by our lifestyle. The foods that we eat, the exercise that we do, the ways that we manage our stress, the care and keeping of our sleep, the types of supplements that we take, and the types of people that we surround ourselves with, even relationships, and that includes spouses, kids, and the people that we work with, friends, neighbors, etc. So I just want to talk a little bit about this for a moment today on the nutritional side of things, and I also want to refer you to my website where I have a blog all about the interactions of Hashimoto's and menopause, and then you can get some more of the details there. So today, I think it's important for the majority of you to know that if you're just thinking about maybe the nutritional implications of perimenopause and menopause, but especially if you have Hashimoto's, there are things that you need to know about keeping your hormones in balance. And the key thing is that having any estrogen dominance or excess estrogen is a real complicating factor. And a lot of times, because of the imbalances in thyroid hormones, this can lead to elevations in things like sex hormone binding globulin and also thyroid binding globulin, and these can affect our estrogen levels in our body. So working to keep estrogen levels at a healthy, normal range, even though there may be some fluctuations, is really key. And you might be asking yourself, well, how can I do this just through food alone? So keeping your detoxification pathways open is really the number one thing. And so if you're gathering by now, I focus on Hashimoto's and I focus a lot on detox too. This is another key area of my practice, working with women so that they understand how healthy, normal, daily detoxification in our bodies and practices that we can use to support that actually helps us through every stage of our lives. So, as far as having excess estrogen in our bodies, we want to eat more of the cruciferous vegetables because these cruciferous vegetables are wonderful detoxifiers. They contain a substance called DIM, and I will explain more about what this is in my blog post. I'm not going to go into the science about that, but those foods are a really good source of DIM, and those compounds break down estrogen so that they are more easily removed from your body and excreted through your waste. So I know this sounds counterintuitive because if you have Hashimoto's or a thyroid condition, you've probably been told to stay away from broccoli and away from kale and away from cauliflower. And unfortunately, that's just not true. You don't need to stay away from those foods. Yes, they are goitrogenic, meaning that they can have an impact on your thyroid, but you would have to eat bushels and bushels and bushels of broccoli for it to have a huge impact, okay? The reason why this affects the thyroid is because it actually binds to iodine, which means that the thyroid gland is not able to uptake as much iodine as it should. If there are a lot of the goitrogen foods heavily present in the diet. But I can also tell you that raw goitrogens are much more problematic for the thyroid than cooked goitrogenic vegetables, such as those cruciferous vegetables that I just mentioned. So having a plentiful plant-based diet, of course, very, very important. Leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, bok choy, kale, cabbage, cauliflower, all of those, cooked, roasted, steamed, fermented, those are great choices because they contain DIM, and DIM is the compound substance that helps to remove the unwanted estrogen out of your body through your waste. So it's great. Other things are going to be really paying attention just to other chemicals that are going to be clogging up your liver detoxification. And ladies, I'm talking about wine and other alcohol and other spirits. So the thing that I encounter quite frequently with a lot of women that I work with in my practice is that, you know, when your kids are in like late elementary, middle school, high school, this is like the time that we're starting to go through peri-menopause, and we're feeling really stressed out, and probably most days of the week you're feeling like coming home and having a glass of wine or having a drink at the end of a stressful day. But this type of lifestyle, this type of a habit is actually not so good for your liver, which wants to really stay open at this time of our lives to be clearing out extra estrogen and making way for those hormonal changes to take place healthfully. So we have to take a look at maybe some of the things that need to go. And I don't say this with judgment, and I certainly don't say, you know, if drinking alcohol is not problematic for you in terms of addiction or addiction in your family, that's not what this is about. This is just about not overburdening your body with the toxins that we often have in many of our common daily foods and beverages, okay? So please think about that. Please think about ways that you can start to cut back on exposure. That also includes even excess caffeine, because that can be too stimulating, and it can also be a drag on your adrenal glands. Sugar and all of the processed foods that we get exposed to, these things also impair our body's detoxification, which again can cause hormonal imbalances because it leads to excess estrogen in the body. In addition to this, I want you to know that as your hormones are fluctuating, there are going to be different nutrient needs in your body. So the first thing is that we have to have care and keeping of all the things I already talked about. Your sleep, your relationships, your stress management, your exercise, all of that good stuff. If you're paying attention to your nutrition, you need to be thinking about daily detox every single day. And also, as your hormones are changing, you need to be thinking about having the right nutrition on board, because it gets harder and harder as we get older and as our hormones are changing, especially, to have adequate nutrition from foods alone. And that's such a bummer. I wish it wasn't that way, but the quality of our soils, the packaging of our foods, the footprint of our food, and how far it must come from means that our foods are less nutritious today than they were ever before, especially, you know, even 50, 100 years ago, our foods have changed. And our hormonal needs require that we're getting more of B vitamins, of zinc, of magnesium, of even just dietary protein. These types of nutrients can be harder and harder to get. So you may want to look into an adequate, high quality supplement, at the very least, a very high quality multivitamin and mineral. My favorite is the Phyto Multi by Metagenics. If you have mood swings, PMS, difficult periods, irregular periods, you probably also need a B complex or at least some extra B6. I really like the B complex bivital nutrients. Magnesium is wonderful for so many other functions in the body. I just did a video recently about magnesium, so please be sure to check that one out. But that is also extremely helpful to hormonal balance and also supporting those irregular times of the month and any discomfort, cramping, pain, heavy bleeding, etc. And so as you get closer and closer to your menopause years, you're going to have some irregularities in your cycle, and magnesium can really help to kind of smooth that out. It's also extremely relaxing, and it also helps to deal with stress. So I also just mentioned zinc. Zinc is really important for the body's own production of so many of these hormones in the body. So today is a primer talking about nutrition and how it can help with the transitional time for women, especially with Hashimoto's, who are starting to approach perimenopause and menopause. But these are good tips for anyone who is in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s. Ladies, get ready. We're all going to go through it, and we will all survive. Please check out my blog post. Please watch some of my other videos. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, and so much for subscribing. Be sure and hit that subscribe button so you get my videos every Tuesday. I'll be back soon. Thanks.